Hi everyone, welcome to the Honeybee Nuts podcast channel. My name is Melissa and I am coming to you from Springboro, Ohio, where I live with my husband, our 2 cats, and our dog Izzy. It only took me a couple times to get back into that. Today is Thursday, August 1st, and it is I always start out by kind of telling you what the weather is like here where I live, and we have had some pop-up showers over the past hour or so. Which has actually made it really nice because we haven't really had any rain, and our grass needs it. So it's nice and cloudy outside, but it's kind of weird because like there's storm clouds, but it's completely sunny. So it is later in the evening. It's I don't know exactly what time it is, but I think it's almost 7 o'clock. And because of that, I might lose sunlight. I know the sun doesn't set until later, but the sun rises on this side of my house and sets on this side of the house. This is where my windows are. This is not where my windows are. So if you lose some lighting, I've got some overhead lights, but it should be okay. Anyway, I have show notes today. Who the heck am I? It has been about 3 weeks since I podcasted last time I podcasted outside, and I was going to today, but I have a finished object to show, and it would not be able to be worn outside. So anyway, I have show notes today because I have so much to talk about and I didn't want to forget anything. So they're very like basic bullet point show notes, but I wanted to make sure that I hit everything for you guys, and I feel a little out of practice. When I podcast consistently, like I feel good in front of the camera, like I'm confident, I'm ready to roll as soon as I hit the record button. When I am off schedule, sorry, there's a rainbow outside. Anyway, when I am off schedule, like it's like I can't, if it's not on the podcasting day, I can't focus on getting started. So it's kind of blabbery in the beginning. But anyway, so I kind of have to accept the fact that it's in the time of summer where we are incredibly busy with family gatherings. Everybody's birthday is in the summer. And also there's, a lot of things going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in the shop right now, which I'm really excited about, which I'll tell you guys in a little bit. There's some things going on at work, which I'm also really excited about, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. So there's just a whole lot of stuff going on right now, all good, but all keeping me very incredibly busy. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in and get started. Try to keep some of that blabber for the end, for those of you that are only here for the knitting. Today I have some giveaway announcements, some knit along announcements. I have 3 finished objects, no whips. I don't have any whips. We'll talk about that in a bit. I have some shop news, what else do I got on here? I have a few acquisitions, and I think that's it. I want to talk about some podcasts I've been watching. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started because I've got a lot to talk about. So I'm going to start with giveaway winners. We had a couple of giveaways wrap up, and a couple of them ramping up. So the first giveaway winner is for the Honeybee Nuts Knit-a-thon for July. So I have been so incredibly busy. I really should have hosted the Honeybee Nuts Knit-a-thon. In case you're not aware of what that is, this reminds me to talk about, if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for checking me out. I hope that you enjoy this podcast. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. I'm glad you liked what you saw. So with that, I have had quite a few new subscribers over the past couple weeks. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed, liked, commented. Make sure you do all of the above, and all of the places. I don't know where any of those buttons are, but they're around here somewhere. And if you heard about me on another podcast or Instagram account or shop or whatever the case may be, please let me know so that I can reach out and thank that person for talking about me. The more people talk about me and post, the more exposure I get and the bigger my following is, which means the more things that I can do for you guys, which is really fun. So thank you for everybody for all of your love and support. It's very helpful. Comments are incredibly helpful to know like what kind of content you guys like to see. So yeah, lets me know I'm not wasting my time here. Although this is a podcast for me because my family got sick of me talking about knitting to them. So I started a podcast so I can talk about knitting to all of the internet world. Anyway, back to giveaways. So if you're new, we do have a monthly knit along, and it is called, we have quite a few actually, but we have one special one that's like my favorite, and it is the HBK Honeybee Knits knit-a-thon weekends. And it started out, about once a quarter, I would do a 24-hour knit-a-thon where I would stay up for 24 hours straight and knit as much as I could. But obviously that didn't always work with people's schedules. They had kids, they had school, they had work, they had family obligations. So we decided to make it a weekend long thing where it would give more time for more people to participate. So once a month I pick a weekend, typically one that's not the busiest for me. So it's on a random weekend every month. I will announce it typically on Instagram on my Insta stories. And then also I open up threads in the Revelry. And all you do is you knit along with us. So you can post on Instagram and using the hashtag that I announce, or you can post in the Revelry threads. Whips, finished objects, chatter, all count, and it's all in the same thread. And so, and I draw prizes from that thread. So July was a really incredibly busy month for me. The only weekend I really had off was the first weekend of July, and we didn't do anything. And I did not do the knit-a-thon weekend that weekend, although I really should have, because I did a lot of knitting and did a lot of binge watching too. That was really the only weekend I had this month to do it, and I didn't. So I did do it this past weekend, which was the last weekend of the month. And I was not able to facilitate it very well because I was just incredibly busy. And so it didn't get as much exposure because I didn't announce it ahead of time. I didn't continue to talk about it throughout the weekend. And I also did not podcast last weekend, which I was supposed to let anybody who does not follow me on Instagram know about it. So I'm going to try my hardest to be better about that, but there are no guarantees throughout the rest of the summer, just because, like I said, it's really busy. So I will do my best to pick a weekend where I am available to be able to host that a little better. But please always keep an eye on my Instagram stories because that's where I always announce it first. So with that, I have pulled a winner for our July knit-a-thon, and the package prize winner is, I need drum rolls. I need a drum set so I can do drum rolls. I'm going to add that to my wish list from Jason. I need a drum set so I can do drum rolls on the podcast. How amazing would that be? Anyway, our winner is number 8, which was Miss Kim Goody. And Kim is actually a really good friend of mine, so I was really excited when she won. She always participates and she always has some pretty amazing projects. So congratulations, Kim. Send me your address. I think I have it, but just send me a message on Ravelry so that I can have it in my list of things I need to send out to people. And also, I mean, even though you're my friend, you still have to follow the rules and message me and let me know that you saw this so I know if you really watch my podcast all the way through. Anyway, if she didn't, I wouldn't care. I'm not that type of person. Our next knit along is the Color Cal each month, and this is kind of like a half month thing, so it runs from the half of one month into the half of the other. So for example, this month it ran from June 15th to July 15th, and it's just something fun. And whips count, any amount of the color counts, and you just enter in your finished object. So this month the color was orange. And next month is purple, which I'll talk about later. But anyway, and technically that's this month. Anyway, from June 15th to July 15th, the color was orange. The winner was actually the first post in the thread, which was post number 2, and that is Raven Diva. So give me a message on Ravelry and I will send you a prize package that has the orange theme to it. And just to let you know, those prize packages get an orange project bag or a project bag with orange in it and an orange skein, a project skein with orange in it. So congratulations, Raven Diva. And our last knit along that I have to announce is the July socks knit along. Any socks that you finished in the month of July, you could enter into this thread. And the August thread is already open, and it's August 1st. Who am I? I don't know, because that's totally not me. I think this sweater is on backwards. I can't tell. Maybe not. No, it's good. I think it's just, there we go. So the winner of the July Socks Knit Along is post number 19, which is Army Wife Knitting Life, which is my friend Jessica. So Jessica, you know the deal. You've won several times. Send me a message on Ravelry and I will send you a prize package in the mail. I have some some knit alongs and some giveaway news. So first of all, the sock thread for August, it goes from August 1st to the end of the month, is now open. So any socks that you finish in the month of August, you can put in there. The color cal for July 15th to August 15th is purple. That one, because I haven't podcasted for 3 weeks, sorry about the late notice, but anything that you finish with the color purple between now and August 15th, you can enter into that thread. And it is raining again. We've had these crazy like pop-up showers for like the past couple hours, and it's like every 20 minutes or so it just downpours for about 20 minutes. It's great. And then I did announce my new color today, which is for August 15th through September 15th. That color will be red. I do use a random color generator to pick the colors, and I try to keep them the like rainbow colors. That way, you know, there's no like, oh, you said chartreuse, but this is kind of like darker green. Can I still use it for chartreuse? You know, and that just green, not chartreuse, green. So if it is chartreuse, you can use it, but if it's forest green, you can use it, and if it's emerald, you can use it. So stick to the primary, not the three primary, but the primary colors of the rainbow, to keep it simple. So purple's not a rainbow color, but it's close enough. Everybody, I love purple. If it's pink, throw it in there. Some people think pink is purple because they might have a little bit of color blindness, so whatever. I'm not that picky about it. Anyway, our color for 8/15 and 9/15 is red, so make sure you are picking out your projects and knitting something with red in it. We have 2 quarterly knit alongs. The first one is the HBK knit along, which is the Honeybee Knits It Along. Anything that you use with my yarn, finish with my yarn, you can put in that thread for a prize once every 3 months. And then the Whip It Thursday thread, which are languishing whips, so any whips that were casted on 3 months or prior to when you finish it can be entered into that thread. Some crazy weather. So that is the Whip It Thursday thread, and that is drawn once every quarter. Izzy's a little freaked out, but it's okay. So anyway, so I do have another giveaway to announce, and this is not a knit along, it is an actual giveaway, which I realize I don't do that many giveaways. I do mostly just knit alongs. Let me go check the weather real quick because that looks pretty ominous. Okay, so the weather is kind of crazy outside, but I've got a husband on tornado watch, so if anything does pop up, like I mean, there's no thunder, there's no lightning, it's just dark sky to the left, mainly because the sun is setting to the right, and crazy wind and rain, so I think it'll be okay. My dog's a little freaked out, but anyway. So moving on, I do have a giveaway to announce. One of the followers of the podcast, and she's actually won quite a few giveaways, won another giveaway from Knitting I Love. And she won a pattern, and she asked if she could donate it to somebody else, and she was told that she could, and she had asked me if I would give this pattern away on my podcast, and I said of course. And she's so incredibly generous, so thank you so much. And the pattern is Trip for 2 Socks by Knitting I Love, and I took a look at the pattern before I came on, and it's kind of cool. They're kind of like fraternal socks where you use 2 different colors, but you like switch them on the top and the bottom for each one. So definitely go and take a look at those. But if you would like to be entered in to win that pattern, I'm actually going to do a YouTube giveaway, which I have not done in a while, if at all. So if you would like to be entered into that pattern, I would like for you to click the like button on this video and the subscribe button to my channel. You don't have to do that, but I would really appreciate it if you would. And also comment below what one of your favorite memories are from a trip. So like I said, this is called the Trip for Two Socks, so I thought it would be fun to make sort of vacation themed. It doesn't have to be like a big vacation that you went on, just like your favorite memory of a trip you took. It could be a road trip, it could be a trip to your local yarn store, it could be a trip to the grocery store that was really a great experience for you. So whatever your favorite trip was, let me know what it was in the comments below. And I will make sure that you get gifted, the winner gets announced on the next podcast, and we get you a copy of that pattern. So I think that's it for giveaways and knit-alongs. Let's talk about FOs, because I know you guys want, those of you that have been following me want to see this sweater. So this is the first FO that I have, and I finished this like I think I finished it while I was editing the podcast, or like the next day for the last podcast I had. So all I had to do was finish up the sleeves. I think I had one sleeve left. Maybe it was two. I don't remember. But and it was a finished object, and it actually went really quick. This yarn is, first of all, this sweater is the Saturday Morning Sweater by Tristan Molina of Dragon Horde Yarn. And this yarn is the yarn that I dyed in the Painted Black colorway and my signature colorway. The yarn is an Aran weight base, and it is a BFL base, and it's, I think it's a 4-ply. It looks kind of like a 2-ply, but I think that's just because it's really thick. No, it's definitely a 4-ply. So anyway, because of the way, so I had a couple of issues with the sweater, not with the pattern, but with the fit and with the coloring. So this is the first time I've dyed up the Aran weight yarn, and because of the ply and the way that it takes up the dye, it's a very tonally, like it's very difficult to dye a solid color in this base, at least the way that I dye yarn. And so I realized when I dyed it up that there were some skeins that were lighter and some skeins that were darker. But I didn't realize how big of a difference there was in variation. And so I did what I did on my last sweater, which worked out really well, is I organized it from lightest to darkest in the colors. So like I took all the Painted Black and I organized it lightest to darkest, and I did the same for the pink, thinking that I wouldn't have to alternate skeins because it would be like a subtle transition. What I didn't realize is how much lighter this first skein I used was than the rest. And so I really wanted this to be a blended color, and it was I was knitting on this in the dark with a lamp, and it didn't look that much different. And it wasn't, and I showed, some friends on video, and I showed Jason. They're like, I love it, I think it looks great. And so I just kept going, and it wasn't until I was down in the pink that I was like, that is a huge difference, and I really don't care for it. So if I had to do the sweater over again, I would definitely alternate skeins, because while I do love this sweater, it's just the color up here, the color change up here is really bothering me. So a few pattern notes. The pattern was very simplistic. I think it's a great beginner sweater pattern for anybody looking to knit sweaters. Because it knits up really quickly, so you won't get bored with it, which is, I think a majority, I don't want to say a majority, but I think some people do end up quitting on sweaters before they get very far because they don't see a whole lot of progress right away, because it is a lot of stitches. And if you're a big girl like me, it's even more stitches. So it's very easy to get bored. It's very easy to not see any progress and have a little bit of self-doubt as you're knitting it. So I really do recommend starting with a thicker weight. If you're not going to do Aran weight, at least do a DK weight sweater for your first one. You don't have to, but I just think it will give you that quicker gratification, and by the time you're done, you'll have the sweater bug. So anyway, this is a great beginner pattern. I love the color blocking technique. I will say that when I swatched, I got gauge. So I think I may have been like a quarter of a stitch off of gauge. I knew that it was going to be bigger. So I'm not going to give pattern details away, but and this is, everything that I'm about to say is no fault of the pattern. It's definitely me and the modifications I made that resulted in a larger fit than what I would have liked. So I knew the pattern called for 6+ inches of positive ease, and I do not like bigger sweaters. I like it to be really fitted in the bust. It can be looser around the waistline because who wants to see all them rolls, but I do like it to be fitted in the bust. And so while it called for that much ease, I knew my gauge was a little bit off and that it was going to cause about 2 inches of less than 2 inches of positive ease overall. And so what I did is I went down a bust size. So instead of going taking my bust size and adding 6 to it and then using that measurement to make my sweater, I took my bust size and I made that bust size. So I knit mine to have no positive ease, other than the positive ease I was going to get because of my gauge. That being said, and I'm going to, and after all this, I will insert some pictures of how it looks on me for you guys to see. It looks fabulous. I love it. It's super comfy. It's supposed to be an oversized, comfortable sweater, and I definitely will be wearing this in the wintertime. I think it's gonna make a good sweater. That being said, it's a little too oversized for what I like, and I seem to have this problem a lot in the sweaters I knit, and so I think I really need to reevaluate how I do my raglan increases and how far I go, because, and I don't know if maybe this is just an assumption about larger people that I don't necessarily fit, but and it could just be me and my gauge, it could be, but I've had this problem. I had this problem on my Find My Way sweater. I've had this problem on my first So Faded sweater, and I've had this problem on my Comfort Fade cardi, where in the shoulders and in the armpits it is so incredibly baggy. So I've got a good, probably I would say 8 inches like of positive ease right here. If I were to knit, I probably should have stopped my raglan increases, like, let me see where it fits comfortably on my shoulder. Probably right here, like right where this first color changes, which is actually really high up in the repeat. The problem is I needed, I don't know how to fix it, because maybe I need to do my raglan increases quicker, because I need it to stop higher, but I still need that bust space down here. So I'm not exactly sure how to fix this. I think what I need to do is get all of my measurements for my arms, height wise and circumference wise, and my body, and make sure that I'm not just following one pattern size, if that makes sense. So if it says for a 50-inch bust, you knit, cast on this many stitches, do this many raglan increases, and knit this many inches, I need to go by what my measurements are for each section. So if, for example, my arm size needs less stitches, then I need to account for that. Versus my bust size and make those modifications on my own, which just seems like a big pain in the ass that I don't want to do. Now I understand that these patterns are, I'm happy that they are becoming more plus size friendly. I'm so excited that I can finally comfortably knit some of the patterns that I was kind of on the borderline or over for in the past. And I know that it's not a one size fits all because all body types are different, and I know that it's on me to make those modifications if I want them to fit the way that I want them to fit. But I just wanted to kind of explain some of the issues that I'm having with my knitting, because it might help somebody else if they're thinking about casting this on. They might be able to take some of those things into considerations and do the maths and make the changes that are necessary when they knit these. Or B, somebody may be an experienced knitter out there who's had this problem before and can offer some helpful tips about how I can adjust the length without taking away from the bust. So yeah, that's my spiel. Also, it was too long because, well, I don't want to say it was because of my gauge being off, because I went by even though my gauge was off, I didn't like say, okay, I should have this many rows per inch, and then I knit that many rows. I measured. So I think the one thing that I could do better is keeping in mind that when I block it, it is going to grow. And so maybe, and like if a pattern says knit to, I'm making this up, no pattern's gonna say this, but I don't want to give away this pattern. So if the pattern says knit to 43 inches, which is like, you know, ridiculously long, that's like a dress, but if the pattern says knit to 43 inches, then maybe I need to take 3 or 4 inches off of that to make it a little shorter, because it's going to grow lengthwise when I block it. And I did I took an inch off of the body for what the pattern said, and I added an inch in the ribbing because I like a longer ribbing on the bottom. So with that, I will insert the pictures here of the finished object. Like I said, with all of that in mind, I think it's beautiful and I love wearing it, and I would definitely make it again, and either go down a few sizes and see how that works on me, because I really think I could have gone down like 2 or 3 sizes and been okay, because of the yarn. It's incredibly stretchy. Even without the ease. So I think that if I would have done that, I could have gone down quite a few sizes and been okay. And I think I might try that and make this again in a new color combination, because I dyed up a few of these Saturday morning sweater kits for some friends this week, and they gave me the colors they wanted and I dyed them up, and I love them so much, and now I want to make all the color combinations in the sweater. If that isn't enough, talk about finished objects. I have 2 more, and they're both have stories behind them. So I'm gonna start with these ones. These are my Whip It Thursday project. Last time I had pulled the Eggsies socks. A few people had commented asking what I said because they hadn't caught it. It's Eggsies. It's EGGSES, I believe, or it might be EGGSSESS or EGGSESS. I have a project page on Ravelry for it, so just go check that out. But I did finish them, and I will show them closer up in a second. But first, I need to talk about them. These socks. I knew when I pulled these out that these were going to be a labor of love. I did not like working on them when I started them. I had ripped them back and restarted a few times, and I knew that I'm not a big fan of cabling in socks. I love cables. I'm not a big fan of cabling in socks because a lot of times what designers do is they do 1-stitch cables, which are really difficult for me. I have tried to do the no cable needle method, and it just does not work for me in the way that I knit. So, and I think that's really what it is ultimately. The way that I knit is not conducive for some of the techniques that people use when they're doing cables and using cable needles or not using cable needles because of my tension and the way that I hold my yarn. So, these socks, I am not exaggerating when I say I could have knit 5 pairs of socks in the amount of time, 5 pairs of vanilla socks in the amount of time it took me to make these socks. And these socks is all that I've worked on, minus the sleeves of the sweater and minus my next finished object. This is the only knitting I worked on for almost 3 weeks. It had 5 or 6 charts. It just was not a fun knit. And also I misread the instructions, so I made them way too long and they're way too big for me. So I don't want to gift these because I spent so much time on them. Nobody's really worthy of this gift that I know of, but they don't fit me. So eventually they will get gifted. But I'm thinking about entering them into a few fairs because I think that I put enough work into them. I can at least try to win something for them, right? So here they are on the sock blockers, and I actually have to take them off to show you the cable pattern because it's really hard to see on the sock blockers, but here they are. They're incredibly long. Let me pull it off here. They don't want to come off. They heard me talking bad about them and now they just want to stay on. So I wear a size 7.5 foot, 7.5 shoe, and this is like, I don't know, like a 9. But so this is going to be really difficult to show. And also these do not fit over the cuff, the leg of my foot. So I did knit them cuff down. So I will start at the top and work my way down. So I knit them cuff down and I did the cabling on both sides all the way up until the heel. And it did tell me to do, and so this is where I misread the pattern. So I read the pattern to say knit the first chart until you're ready to put in your heel. What it said was knit the first chart until you're 1.5 inches away from putting in your heel. So I knit it my normal 60 rows that I normally do, thinking that this would be where I put my heel in, not realizing there was this whole other chart from here to, let's see where it changes. So from here to here was a whole other chart that I had to do before I put in my heel. So it ended up being like, I don't know, over 100 rows in just the leg. But as you can see, there is some very beautiful cabling in there. It's a really pretty like Celtic motif that I really do like. And then it called for a heel flap and gusset, which I started to do. The heel flap and gusset instructions in there, I don't think anybody would ever use in that pattern because they were so wrong. It obviously, if it was test knitted, it wasn't test knitted very thoroughly. The person that already knew how to do a heel flap and gusset did it, and the only reason I know this is because I was trying to following the heel flap and gusset pattern from the pattern, because I have not done one in years. I have done Fishlips Kiss for a year or two, and then I switched to Afterthought about a year ago. So I haven't done it in about 3 years. So I needed the instructions, and they were completely wrong. They were completely wrong. Or if they were not wrong, they were not very clear. So they were not good heel flap and gusset instructions. And I also realized after knitting this like gigantic cuff and leg, that I was going to run out of yarn. Heel flap and gusset takes so much yarn. And also, heel flap and gusset doesn't fit my foot. I have a really high arch and very narrow heels, and they just, if I had a heel flap and gusset sock, it would not stay on my foot. So I was like, you know what? At first, I wasn't going to do an Afterthought heel because I was like, I do not want to take the risk of dropping a cable in this sock. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm doing an Afterthought heel. So I did an extra row. And then I put in my markers for my afterthought heel. So I did end up going back in and cutting in this heel and doing that afterwards, which I love afterthought heels. They're perfect. I think it's beautiful. And then I worked on my foot. And the foot goes from about here, I would say, hang on, let's see, it's this, let's see here, here's right about here down to here. So I'll show you this cabling motif there, and then down there. So here it is. It's a beautiful sock. It's gorgeous. I would not recommend the pattern to anybody. I feel like only masochists would knit this pattern. I'm not a masochist, but I do like a good challenge. I like to do things to say I've done them. I don't necessarily want the finished object. It's like bragging rights, right? So when I do my beaded lace knitting project, I'm like, look how good I am at knitting. I made this. So that's kind of what this project was. My friend Elizabeth was like, I'm doing these socks, and I didn't really even know what they were. I didn't even know they were cabled, and it was just a knit along. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that because I'm really competitive. I was like, I'm gonna do them, and I'm gonna do them faster and better. And I think she ended up ripping hers out, and I finished mine 3 years later. But they are done. That's another whip out of the Whip It Thursday jar and off of my shelves. So if you're keeping track, that means we get to pick another whip today, but I'm going to do that in a little bit. I'm going to finish up my finished objects first before I do that. I don't have any whips, so I figured that would be a good time to pick it out so that I can go pull it off the shelf and show you it, because it's technically a whip. It's in the Whip It Thursday jar. I'm just being silly now. Anyway, here they are. And also nobody in my family has size 9 feet, so I don't know who they're going to get gifted to, but we'll figure it out. The next finished object also has a story behind it. I'm going to back up now because I got really close to you guys to show those. And because of the socks, because of the busy weekend I had last week, which there's so much to talk about. Anyway, because of the craziness, I did not cast on my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks until Tuesday night. If you know anything about the Desert Vista Dyeworks sock knit along, it ends on the last day of the month at midnight. And I casted it on the 30th at 10 p.m. and they were due the 31st at 12 p.m. So I had like 26 hours to get them done, which is fine except for, life. But I did get them done. It wasn't too bad. They went pretty quick, especially because I switched to shorty socks a few months ago. So here they are. Here it is. And the colorway is on Wednesdays we wear pink because I knew these were due on Wednesday and I was going to be knitting them all day on Wednesday. So I picked on Wednesdays we wear pink because on Wednesdays we knit pink socks. They're gorgeous and they're sparkly. It's on her Zen base. I used to do 60 row leg. Now I do 20 row cuff, 60 row leg, afterthought heel, and 60 rows on my foot, which fit my size 7.5 feet. And they're so pretty. They're so pretty. I love them. And so it took me, I don't know, probably a total of maybe 8 hours to knit these. So needless to say, I got them done with like 2 hours to spare after sleeping and cleaning the house and doing shop stuff and all the good things. So these are officially done. One more finished object, and it's spinning related. I love spinning. So this, I don't think you guys have seen this. I have been talking about what I've been spinning, but I don't think I really showed it. I may have showed it out as a single. I can't remember. But I have been working on some Woolly Witch Rollags in the Christmas and Candyland colorway. And I got it plied up last week. And here it is. Actually, yeah, last week. And I love it. It is so pretty and it's got a little bit of sparkle in there. I don't know if you guys will be able to catch it or not, but it is gorgeous, beautiful. It's definitely a fingering weight yarn. These Rollags spin up very finely, which I love. I love spinning fingering weight, and it's so soft and squishy, and I love her rollags. I am spinning plans. I don't have any spinning whips to show. I did not get to spin this week, mainly because I wanted to finish my Eggsy socks and I wanted to finish my Desert Vista Dye Work socks. And in fact, I didn't get to do my diamond painting on Wednesday because I was working on these socks. So I did diamond painting today after work before dinner. Which, by the way, I have 5 weeks left on. 5 weeks and it'll be done. And so there's a big like section of sparkle right there, and I'm trying to get it on the camera. But anyway, so I don't have a spinning whip to show you, but I did pick out the bat, and actually while I'm editing the podcast tonight, I'm going to, it's kind of hard to edit the podcast and spin at the same time, but I'm going to try, and if it doesn't work out, I'll pull out my socks. But it is a bat that I bought at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and it is the last thing that I bought from Maryland. What I've been doing is I've been alternating back and forth between fiber that I bought at festivals and fiber that I already had in my stash. So that way I have a list. I think I showed it on the last podcast. I have a queue of spinning things I want to spin this year. And so I'll spin something from that list, and then I'll spin something new that I bought at a fiber festival. So this is the last thing that I bought at Maryland Sheep and Wool. And when it's done, I will start working on the stuff I bought at Greencastle. So, which is exciting. I have stuff from Greencastle from 2 years ago. Or from last year. But I'm going to do this year's stuff first, and then we'll see where I'm at. I also have stuff from Kentucky from 2 years ago. Anyway. So here it is. It's beautiful. I love it. And so I'm doing that bat from Maryland next, which is super sparkly. And I actually prepped it while I was waiting on dinner to cook. So it's all ready to be spun up. It was a big bat. And so I just pulled it into strips and kind of drafted it out. Not really too much, and then rolled it up. So it's all ready to be spun. And then after I spin that, I will go back and do my last rollags from the Woolly Witch, which are so pretty. You guys are going to love them. So, I mean, I'm going to love them. I don't know if you guys will. So that is spinning. So I don't have any new whips, but I did, for the sake of my friends who I stress out when I wait until the last minute to knit my Desert Vista Dye Work socks, Jessica, I did cake up my yarn for this month, which is Clue, which I actually bought because Jessica, Army Wife Knitting Life, knit these, and I thought they were so pretty. So, and I did count my Desert Vista Dye Works yarn last night, and I have enough to do one more year, and I will be 3 months shy of finishing out this year and doing next year. So I do plan on purchasing 3 more skeins if I don't win them from her giveaways, or from her knit along. I do plan on purchasing 3 more skeins, but that's probably it for me. So I'm going to finish out this year. I'm going to do next year, and then I am probably done with that knit along because I have all this other beautiful self-striping yarn that needs to be knit up. And I am not buying more self-striping yarn for a knit along when I already have all of this. And like I said, I'm 3 skeins shy to finish out an entire year. So I will buy 3 more skeins, maybe off a D-stash. And once I do that, I'm done, because I really would like to work on Nomadic. I have a ton of Cozy Knitter. I've got a bunch of Freckled Whimsy and Yarn Jar and a ton of stuff up there too. So of like random dyers. So I really, really, really want to get to that, and I feel like I never can because I only knit about 2 pairs of socks a month, and this is always one of them. So 1 more year, well, the rest of this year, and then 1 more year after that, and I am done with Desert Vista, at least for a year. I'm just going to take a year off, knit off some of this stuff, If I make a good dent, then I will go back to it. But I did just want to put that out there. So I have been off my knitting schedule for about a month now. I've been really like picking a project and focusing on it and getting it done. So I had, you know, a couple things on the last podcast, the sweater, those socks. I had another Whip It Thursday poncho that I finished. I had Jason's scarf and hat that I was working on. So I really enjoyed that, but I'm ready to get back to my knitting schedule because I do have things on my knitting queue that are like Small Project Friday related, and that's pretty much it. Really, it's the Small Project Friday stuff that is like obligation knitting that I need to do before Christmas that is not getting done because I'm focusing on all my whips. I'm trying not to cast anything on, but when I do cast it on, it needs to be a quick project and it needs to be obligation. So I have my next thing on my obligation Small Project Friday list is a hat for my dad. He works for UPS and he has to have a specific color of hat. So I plan on dyeing up the yarn for that this week and casting it on next Friday. So since today's Thursday, my Small Project Friday tomorrow will probably be spinning. I didn't get to spin this week, and so I'm spinning tonight, spinning tomorrow. I want to finish the singles of that bat, but if that does get done, I will work on my Desert Vista Dye Work socks, and then sock Saturday I'll work on my Desert Vista Dye Work socks because these are getting done first this month. I just showed an acquisition. Spoiler alert. So I'm getting my Desert Vista Dye Work socks done this month early, and that is what I will be working on for that. And I have, I think, like a few hats after that. Nothing major, but a few hats. I think a pair of mitts, which technically isn't a small project because it's 2 skeins, but they'll knit up quick because it's worsted weight. Things like that I will be spending my Fridays on. But outside of that, I might rotate between like a small project and then a whip, like for my Whip It Thursday, because I really do feel like I need to spend more time on my Whip It Thursday projects because I want to get them done. I've really knocked out a few lately and I'm really enjoying that, and I would like to knock out a few more before the end of the year because I have so many goals that I want to do next year, and that's taking up a lot of time. For Sunday, I'm still working on Scrappy Sunday. I still have an Advent project that I'm working on. I have not touched it in a few weeks, which is why I don't have it to show in the whip section. I've been mainly only having time to do my squares on my 2 blankets that I'm working on. I do 2 squares on my Cozy Memories, 1 square on this. And that's really the only knitting time I've had on Sundays because our Sundays have been so busy, and I don't even know if I'm going to get those squares done this week. So I probably won't get any work done on that snow melt. No, I forget what it's called. Dust of Snow Shawl. I probably won't get anything done on that for the next podcast, but I do plan, I think things are going to start to slow down in the next couple weeks on the weekends, at least on Sundays. So if it does, that project needs to get done ASAP. And then Mondays, I have finished the sweater, so it is time to go back to my Spellbin. I did dye up yarn for it, and it is time to finish the sleeves on that. So that will be up next. And then when I finish that, I really want to cast on my Tecumseh, but I kind of have this like idea in my head that I would like to do as a Christmas gift, and it is sweater related. And in my head, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that difficult to do because the person that I'm knitting it for has lost a lot of weight recently and is a much smaller size than what they used to be. And so I don't think it would be too bad to knit it for them. And I've been wanting to do it for years. But, and I'm not talking about Jason, by the way, for any of you wondering, it's not Jason. But I don't know if I want to be that unselfish. I don't know. I was kind of inspired by Jessica. She's knitting sweaters for her whole family. I don't want to knit sweaters for my whole family. I want to knit sweaters for one person. But I am so selfish right now because I have so many sweaters I want to knit for myself. So I'm not sure if I can make a decision by the time my Spellman sweater is done. I will dye up the yarn and be casting that on, which I don't even know what sweater it would be yet. I just know who it would be for and what size it would be. And if not, then I'll be casting on my Tecumseh. So those are my options. Did I say Tecumseh? Is that right? The DK one. I don't know. I've had yarn forever for it. My friend Mercy sent me yarn, and I decided to use it for that, and then it just sat there on my shelf. Because I'm a bad person. I'm a bad friend. So, that leads us to, this is our whip section, by the way. Oh, hi. You want to come up here? Come here. I gotcha. I gotcha. Hi. Somebody was wanting loving. He's a good boy. He loves the camera. You're getting cat fluff all over my new sweater. What do you think about that? Princey interlude. Okay, you can go now. Okay. That brings us to getting a new whip out. So let me go get my jar. We'll pull one, and then I'll go find the project. Fingers crossed for an easy one. We'll see what it is. A moment of truth. I'm nervous because I always get nervous when I pull something out of here. I don't know why. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. Last time Jason helped me pick one. Today Prince is helping me. Okay, ready? Oof. Okay. Speckle Pop. Which is actually kind of fitting because we are coming up on Westnut's season where he comes out with one of his crazy patterns, and I used to do all the knit-alongs, but I didn't do it last year, which I'm glad I didn't. I did not like last year's. And I'm not doing it this year. I'm not doing it until my whip jar is empty because I need to get this whip jar done. Speckle Pop, let me go find it. This one is a fun one. Okay. Okay. So I don't even know. I know I was podcasting when I started this. Oh gosh, these are getting some new needles. Oof. These are on my melodies. I have much better needles now, like Chow Goo and my signatures. But I know I had to have shown this on the podcast at some point. But here's what I have done of that, which is not very much at all. And the reason I made that face is because I liked knitting the shawl. I enjoyed it. I really, really did. But I have no idea where I'm at. And this is one of those things where I think you have to know where you're at to be able to pick it up because of the color changes and all that good stuff. Also, I feel like I have two colors in here. This was a kit that I bought. Pretty sure it's hedgehog fibers, which was part of the problem. It's very splitty, and I've got these melodies, which are very dull, and so I was having issues with that, but I'll change needles, which isn't a problem. But I've got two colors that are really super poppy, and then I've got these other colors that don't seem to have like as much of a contrast, and so they don't stand out as well. I feel like you just get slammed in the face with green, and then the pink gets kind of blended in, pink and orange. So let's look at the yarn that I've got, because I do remember really loving this yarn. Oh my gosh, none of these have tag. I have no idea what's what. Do you know it's all hedgehog? So I've got these three colors, which this was my first color. So we had this. I don't know what's what here. And then this is what I'm using now that's attached to it. What is this, like hopscotch or jump rope or bubble gum, or I don't fucking know. I don't know. And then this one. So those are my three main colors. And I have tags in here, but I don't know what's what. I know the bigger ones go with the bigger ones and the smaller ones go with the smaller ones. Let's pull out the bigger ones. And I'm pretty sure I had this yarn. Oh, there's my F-bomb. Oh my gosh, there's my cupcake. I'm finding progress keepers that I forgot that I had. So I think, I really do think that these were in my stash. I think I had signed up for their club one year for a few months, and I pulled these from my stash. So I have, I'm going to say Genie is the purple one. So I have Genie, Hula Hoop. I think I said that, didn't I? Or maybe I said Jump Rope. I don't know. Anyway, Hula Hoop is that bright pink one. And then the lighter one that I started out with, I think, is Plan B. I'm pretty sure. So those are my main colors. And then I've got these small ones. Oop, I'll just have to show them one at a time. My hands are not big enough. There's a green. Here's a purple. Here's an orange. Here's like a peachy pink. And another green. And I think that's it. That's it for the minis. And I don't know which is which, but I got the tags in here. So we've got, one of them is Hush. One of them is Kid You Not. One of them is Hunter. And one of them is Coral. And since we're in here, oh, and that was only, one of them is Wish. So I found this progress keeper, which is, I don't know. I don't know who made that, but it's really cute and it looks really yummy. It makes me really hungry. And then my F-Bomb progress keeper from Ann Tudor, which is fitting because I can probably say I'm going to have a lot of F-Bombs knitting this because I have no idea where I'm at in the pattern. So let me put these two away because those are not attached. Oh, and it's in my bag from Levi, WTF Knitting. I love his bags. He needs to make more. But yeah. And here it is. And I don't even remember how this turns out to look. I don't know. Did Levi finish his? We were knitting them together and I gave up and he finishes. Because I was also doing, Andrea Mowry had her What the Fave knit along at the same time. So I was doing 2 knit alongs plus the Boo Knits Macau. So anyway, there it is. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I just don't know that the minis have enough of a contrast in them, but I'm still going to love it. I love the pinky colors. So I am excited to work on it. I kind of wish I would have pulled out my What the Fade because in my What the Fade, I only have garter left to do and it's done. But I didn't. I pulled this out and so I'm going to finish this and then it'll be done and off my list and I can pull another whip. This one's going to take me a while though. Maybe not if I change needles and I really sit down and focus on it. I'm hoping I don't have to rip it out. That's like my biggest fear is I can't figure out where I'm at and I have to rip it out. I'm okay doing that with some projects. I would do it for this project. I just don't want to. Just because I think the yarn would get really tangled. But if I can't figure out where I'm at, then I will. So that is that one. And I'm getting very warm, so I need to speed it up. All right. That is it for whips. Because I really didn't have any. And this is going to be a really long podcast. We're almost done. 3 more things to talk about. Shop news. So, if you were here for just the knitting content, that's it. I do have some acquisitions here in a few, but I'm going to do shop news first. So I have some announcements to make that I already made on Instagram, but I am going to be going to Cleveland on August 17th and 18th, which is a Saturday and Sunday, to Around the Table Yarns. It's a yarn shop up there, and doing a trunk show. They are hosting Gigi from Gigi Made It, and I'm really excited. I did a wholesale order for them, and I will be traveling up to meet Gigi and spend the weekend with them. I've already got my hotel booked. My friend's coming with me. I've finished the wholesale order. I'm shipping to them tomorrow. And then I am, oh, there's a big bright rainbow outside my window. There was one before, but then it started raining again, and now we have another one. And it's closer because the sun changed. Anyway, it's not really closer, but it looks at a different angle. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I will be in Cleveland August 17th and 18th at Around the Table Yarns. Please come say hello, come check out the trunk show, come say hi to Gigi and all my friends, Kim, and the owners are super nice, so definitely come see us if you are close or within travel distance. Come hang out with us. I announced on Instagram that before I do that, I'm going to talk about bag update and advent calendars. So I have been working my butt off on bags. I made 16 bags this week. The problem is that I realized the bags were too tall for the width. And so I ended up cutting everything in half and making small project bags. 2 zipper and 2 snap per fabric. Which turned my 42 bags into 84 bags, which is why it's taking me so long. I did consider, for a hot minute, I was going to go ahead and have a bag update next week. But then this week I sewed up 16 bags and I'm kind of on a roll, so I'm just going to keep doing them because I really would like to put them all up at the same time. It's less work for me if I can do it like assembly line format and with photographs and then upload them all into Etsy at the same time. So that's the goal. If my bag production slows down, then I will obviously go ahead and have a bag update with what I have finished. The goal is to have that done within the next couple weeks. So keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited. I have a lot of fun fabric prints, and I know some of you have been holding your breath waiting on those because you've been messaging me every week, which I appreciate. I don't mind that. I am more than happy to give you a status update, and I want to let you know that I am actively working on them. Advent calendars. So advent calendars for Christmas are still up in the shop. I think I have 4 or 5 left. So if you want one, make sure you go get it ASAP. I don't know. I said last time I was going to be relisting some without the goodies. I don't know if I will be because I took a look at my schedule for this fall, the end of summer and fall, and I just picked up a new wholesale order. So I don't know if I'm going to have time to do more than 40. So if you want one, please go get it now. I will very much consider adding more spots, but if there is not enough interest, I won't be, because I have so many minis I dye at a time. And so if I open up more spots, then that means I have to open up enough so that it's efficient for me to make an entire pan more full of minis. So if I don't have enough interest to do that, then I'm not going to open up more spots. So this might be it. So make sure you go and get them as soon as possible. And top secret projects. Halloween countdown mystery mini sets are still in the shop. I do have more spots of those. I think I have 10 of those left. Those do close sooner, so while they're not in danger of selling out quite yet, they do close sooner. So make sure you go and get those because I'm gonna get started on those here in the next month. So and then that leads us to 2 top secret projects. So I kind of hinted on Instagram that I am working on 2 really exciting things for the Honeybee Knits shop. And one of them is still super top secret and I can't talk about, but the other one, I let the cat out of the bag because I was so excited and I started working on it. And I decided to share the process on Instagram. So Honeybee Knits will now, aka me, mostly me, sometimes friends, sometimes my mom, sometimes my dad, sometimes my husband, but mostly me, will be dyeing self-striping yarn. And this is the very first colorway that we came up with. Actually, Jason came up with this color combination. And I will not be launching my self-striping yarn until after Christmas advents are sent out. So it'll be late fall, early winter, and we're still figuring out how to make it so that I can produce it on a bigger scale, because right now it's taking me forever to do one skein. But I will be releasing them, and I am playing with colors to decide what colorways I want in my launch. I am planning on having a big launch where I have a bunch of colorways right off the bat for people who like options. So this is going to be one, and I do have colorway names for some of these already, but I'm not going to say them until the time comes. So, and you guys will get forewarning before they launch. So this is colorway number 1 that actually Jason designed. He loves neons and bright pops. So I am not surprised at all by this color combination. And I'm actually knitting him socks out of these. He's a very 80s, 90s kind of guy. So that's what this reminds me of. My second colorway I dyed was my color combination, and I love it. Super bright. So we have some aqua in there. It's kind of like a tealish aqua. Is that what I call that? Teal? What color is this? This is like a turquoise. No, this isn't turquoise. I think this is more teal. Maybe it's turquoise. I don't know. I'm just the dyer. Who knows? Purple, pink, and orange. And this is like a magenta. I love this magenta color. But that is colorway number 2. Colorway number 3. Oh my gosh. Oh, and it just came unrolled. So I gotta roll that back up. Hang on just a second. I think this has been the fan favorite so far. It's very neutral for me. Like, I like the big poppy neons, but this is, I don't want to say it's my favorite one, but it's a good one. So here it is. We've got mauve. We've got some purple, navy, some green. I love this one. And this one, Jason really likes it. I like it, but I feel like it's a bit too Eastery for me. I'm not a big pastel. Like, I like pastels, but whenever like I buy yarn, it reminds me too much of Easter, so I stay away from it. But I do like this colorway. I think it's very pretty, and it is very springy. So we have like this mint colorway. We have some lilac, some blue, and like this beige-ish green color. So anyway, those are my first 4 colorways. They are all 4 stripes, 4 colors. And I plan on doing up to 7 stripes eventually, but right now I'm just sticking with 4. I can't show them all at once. Whoop. There they are. So those are the first 4 colorways that I came up with. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited? Is this something that you guys want to see in the shop? Is it not something you want to see in the shop? Because honestly, right now, it's not feasible for me to do production-wise. There's some ideas that I have to make it feasible, but if you guys don't even want this, then it's not even worth it. I'll just dye it for myself. So let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm really excited about it. So that was Top Secret Project number 1. Top Secret Project number 2 will get announced after my trip to Chicago. Or Chicago. I'm not going to Chicago. After my trip to Cleveland. Excuse me. All right. I have some acquisitions. So my first acquisition, you saw one, it was a spoiler, is I decided, did I talk about this on the last podcast? I got it in my head that I was going to knit everybody patterned socks for Christmas, which probably isn't going to happen. I'm not sure how I'm going to find time for that. But I mean, it would be nice eventually, and I'm glad I did buy this, but this is a sock ruler, and it's a wood one, because that's what I wanted. I did find this from a European shop. They do not have their shop name on here, but I did link it on Instagram if you guys are interested. So they are European sizes and UK sizes, but you can convert them. That came with a little note that told you how many to add to the UK and European sizes to get US sizes. So this is what I've got. It's really handy. It has the inch scale, so it tells you, not only is it a ruler, but it tells you how many inches to knit for which sock size. It has the Kitchener stitch pattern right here. On this side, it has a soccer's gauge. And then it has a needle gauge in here as well. So very handy. And it did come with a little keychain you can attach to hang it on something. So I do like this. And if you are interested, let me know in the comments below, and I will comment back what shop I got this at, because I cannot remember. The second acquisition I have is a skein of Nomadic Yarns. She released 3 new Harry Potter colorways in like the past 2 months, which is a problem because when she's releasing one a month, I can justify one a month. I cannot justify 3 every 2 months. That's half a skein each month too much because I'm on a budget. But she did, and I bought them because me and Nomadic Yarns Harry Potter colorways. So this is Astronomy Tower, which is beautiful. Purple, black, gold, gray, like silver. I love it. And then the other 2 should be coming within probably before I podcast next. At least one of them should be here before I podcast next. If not, it'll be the one after. I feel like every podcast episode I have a skein of Nomadic Yarns to show because she releases them quite frankly, I mean, like once every month or 2. So I think it's mostly bi-monthly she releases them, but like I said, 3 colorways. That girl is inspired right now. So that's Astronomy Tower. And then my final gift to myself was I paid off my car. And I have been eyeballing, well, I'll get into this in a minute. I've been catching up on podcasts, and I've been watching the Knitting Expat podcast and actually getting caught up went from being 2 years behind to 1 month behind. That's how much podcast watching I've been doing. But she has this bag from Whimsy Stitches. It's a different rainbow fabric. And I've seen this bag several times. And I have been drooling over it, but I'm like, you do not need any more knitting bags. It's ridiculous. But then I paid off my car and I was like, I am getting a knitting bag. It's kind of like my celebratory car is paid off knitting bag. So I treated myself and I love this bag, and I shouldn't have bought it because all it did was make me want more bags, but I'm going to stick with this one for now. I love the clear. I love rainbow. I love rainbow. Honestly, like I didn't think much about rainbow as a color until I started watching Knitting Expat a couple years ago, and then I became obsessed with it. So it's her fault anyway. And then now she has the rainbow bag that she enabled me to buy. And this is from Whimsy Stitches Designs. And this is the Rainbow Pride series, and it says this bag is a part of a limited series run of project bags created to show support and acceptance. A percentage of the purchase price will be donated towards LGBTQ+ rights for all. So that's kind of cool. And then he also included a sticker and a progress keeper. So I am in love, and I for sure, next time I pay something off or have a event, I will definitely be looking into his bags to purchase, because Lord knows I don't need any more project bags, but this is definitely a want and not a need. And I am so glad I chose this to celebrate paying off my car with, because I think it's gorgeous. So that is it for acquisitions. So one more thing to talk about, and I'll let you guys go because I know this is a long one. Hi Izzy. She just got done eating her dinner. So I have been watching podcasts like crazy. This is kind of like a weeks in review. I have been watching them while I diamond paint. I have been watching them while I dye yarn. I have been watching them while I sew bags. I've been watching them while I cook. I've been watching them while I clean. I have been watching them while I spin. I've been watching them while I knit. I've been watching them everywhere. I've been watching them while I'm sitting in line waiting on something. Like, I don't know if I've been to the doctor recently, but like, I don't know. I've been watching them constantly. So I have been keeping up with a few of my favorites, and some that are like off the top of my head that have really good episodes lately is Felici Fibers, which is my friend Angela. And she lives in New Jersey, and I feel like her and I are the same person. And we talked about this the other day, where we're so sad that she lives like, 800, 900 miles away, because I feel like if we live, maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, because if we live closer, I feel like we would just move in together, because that's how close we are. But she had a really great podcast come out recently, and she's doing some wedding planning stuff, which I'm so excited to hear about. And just watching her progress in her knitting has been really fun for me. Levi and I did get to meet up with her when we were in Rhinebeck in October, and we got to spend the day with her, and it was just so much fun. She has such a great personality, and she's very relatable. And she has a new episode that just came out a few days ago that I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but if you haven't checked her out, go check her out. The second podcast that I talk about all the time is the Knit for Brains podcast. I love catching up with them. I got a little bit behind, but I did catch up with the 2 episodes I had missed this week. And I love seeing the baby. Alicia's baby is on there, and I don't think she was on this last episode, but she was on the one before. And I love seeing the baby knits, and Laura's getting more into the self-striping socks, and she's also designing an exciting pattern. And all of this fun stuff. So I love catching up with them. I've met them a couple times in person. I've talked to them on the phone. It's funny because a couple weeks ago, it's been a while now, but like they had a knitting question. Actually, I think it was about the Saturday morning sweater, and they just FaceTime me. So like, I think it's really cool that we have that kind of relationship where we can do that. And yeah, I really enjoy spending time with them. There was a new podcast that they had come out this week that I haven't watched yet again, with Karen, their friend Karen. I've met her a few times in person too. She typically travels with them when they go to Greencastle, and that's how we all met up. And I love seeing Karen on there and seeing all of her finished objects and whips that she's working on, and just getting to catch up with her, because prior to her coming on the podcast, when Alicia isn't there, I didn't get to know what was going on with her for like a year because she wasn't on there, and I had met her once, and we, talked, and she's really relatable, and we got to know each other, and then I didn't see her again for another year. So I'm really excited that they're kind of doing these half episodes where Karen comes in and shares all of her fun stuff. And then the last podcast that I've really been watching the heck out of is the Knitting Expat podcast. If you've seen me, like, you know who she is. Like, she's huge. Like, she's got such a big following. But I like to watch podcasts from start to finish, like go back to the first episode and watch them all the way through. And I had gotten really behind on her podcast around the time of when she had her daughter. I had pretty much stopped watching podcasts for about 1.5 years. As you guys know, I've been catching up on them. I got caught up on like Yarn Cafe Creations and all of them, right? So hers, I had kind of been putting off because I knew there were a lot of episodes, but I'm so glad I'm watching them again. She was the first podcast I ever watched. She was the reason I started podcasting. When I met her in Rhinebeck, I started crying because I'm a big baby, and really I was just kind of starstruck, and I didn't ever really think that I would be that way towards somebody, especially in the knitting community. But I think it was because of how like inspirational she is. Like, she just goes for it. She wants to do something, she just does it. And so for me, like, she was a big inspiration when I first started podcasting. So it was kind of like hard to meet her in person. They say don't meet your idols, right? So anyway, so I was really glad to get caught up with her, and I got up through Rhinebeck all the way up to about a month ago. And she has been getting so much into spinning, and I watched all of her spinning videos, not all of them, but a majority of them, while I was knitting these socks. And I have to say, like, all I wanted to do, because the night I cast it on was spinning Tuesday night, and I had to work on these socks, all I wanted to do was spin along with her, and I couldn't. So she has inspired me to spin. I'm already off my knitting schedule, so I might as well start spinning tonight, and get that kind of out of my system. So yeah, those are the 3 podcasts that are like top of my mind right now. I'm sure there are more that I need to like get caught up on and watch, but I am going to finish getting caught up with Mina and Knit for Brains and Angela first, and go from there. But that's pretty much it. A couple weeks, I'll do kind of a weekend review. So first off, you guys, I've been kind of hinting that I've had, it's been kind of crazy at work recently. And we've had a lot of big changes, including organizational changes and management changes. And it's just kind of left everybody feeling like they don't know where their place is. We're still doing the day-to-day work. We're still a really high-performing team. It's just there's so much changing that we're kind of like in limbo. And we are change agents. We facilitate change. That's our job. That's what we do for a living. And it's kind of funny how unadaptable we have been to the recent changes. And I think if it was one or two things, like, it wouldn't have been as difficult. But because we had, just for example, we got rolled up underneath a new organization. And then we had some, like, I don't know I can't really talk about, we had some, like, I guess you would call them procedural changes on how we had, like, the documentation we had to do and things for the work that we're doing. We had some changes around that. And before, we had a new system that we were going to go into. And before we could even go into that new system, my boss left. And that was really hard because he was a really good mentor, and I really liked working for him. He was very laid back, but he was very, like, encouraging. He was a good coach. And he left. And because of the fact that we had been rolled under a new organization, the person that we were reporting to before he left, we hadn't been reporting to very long. She had a completely different management style, and it was hard to get used to. It was difficult to get used to that, along with all of the other changes going on. So this week we were and we'd been reporting to her for about a year. My old boss has been gone for over 6 months, I think, close to 6 months, if not more. And we got news this week that we're being rolled up underneath our old manager, which was, like, my old boss's boss, which is fantastic news. Not because I do like the new manager. I've gotten used to her management style, and I think I understand her better. But I adored, like, I can't say how much, like, I can't express how much I loved working for the old manager who we're now reporting up through now again. She's just very down to earth. She's very direct. She is very clear in what her expectations are. And she is very open to listening to new ideas and to hearing about issues that are going on and helping you kind of figure out a solution to them. Like, she is just the epitome of a perfect boss. So I am so excited that we are going to be reporting through her again. It's going to be good for everybody. It also means that I might get, which we'll see, but I might get more work from home time again, because before we were working from home quite a bit, and the new organization we rolled up underneath had a different work from home policy, so we had to switch to that, which I was in the office a lot more. But now we're under the other organization again. We're getting that time back, so that's exciting. I like working from home. I'm an introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. I like people and I like socialization, but ultimately I like being in my comfort zone. So anything outside of my house is outside of my comfort zone. So I like working from home, and I do my best work here. So that is that for work. The shop has been crazy between sewing bags and starting self-striping yarn and doing a wholesale order and prepping for a trunk show. And also wool gathering is coming. It's going to be here before you know it. So I just got a lot going on. All really good stuff. Advent calendars, for both Christmas and Halloween. So there's just so much going on with the shop. But it's good stuff, and I'm excited about it. And like I said, families' birthdays, like, I'm not kidding you. I have 3 nephews and a niece, and they're all within 3 months of each other. And in between all that, Jason's mom and Jason's brother are both in there for birthdays. Plus we had, like, Mother's Day in the spring, and then Father's Day at the beginning of the summer. And We have one more birthday party this weekend, and then also I'm going to go see Levi this weekend. His partner has a show this weekend, and I always go and see it, and I'm excited because I've been so busy. I haven't had a whole lot of time to connect with him very much since Maryland Sheep and Wool, so I'm excited to go and spend time with him and see Miss Wilma and see the show, and it's going to be good, and I think Jason might come with me. So, because this is the last show before football season starts. Typically, Jason only goes with me when football season. He likes going and seeing that stuff. I think he likes spending time with me in the car when we're driving. And he likes that. But if football's on, like if there's a Seahawks game, he ain't leaving the house. And I typically go to the shows on Sundays, see the matinee, so that we can have dinner afterwards. Because the other shows are kind of later in the evening if it's on Friday or Saturday, so like everything's closed by the time the show is done. So I like to go on Sundays for the matinee, and then we go have dinner afterwards, and then I'm home by like 7 or 8. So anyway, I'm gonna see him on a birthday party for my nephew on Sunday or Saturday, dinner with Levi on Sunday, and I get a weekend off, which will be prepping for it'll be partly prepping for Cleveland and partly spending time with family, because I think we're going to get together. We're going to try to get together with my niece and my oldest niece and nephew, and then my second oldest nephew, which I say he's second oldest, but so I have, my niece has just turned 15. My nephew is getting ready to turn 12. Well, actually, he just turned 12 yesterday. He has the same birthday as Harry Potter, which is super cool. But he just turned 12 yesterday. His birthday party's on Saturday. And then I have a nephew that is, their brother is just turned 3. And then their youngest brother just turned 2. So there's a big age gap between the 15-year-old and the 2-year-old. But they're all siblings, and they're all within 3 months of each other, birthday-wise. So anyway, I think we're going to take the 3 oldest and get together with Jason's brother and go to Young's Jersey Dairy, which is also where wool gathering is, and just kind of take them to the batting cages and putt-putt and things like that. So that'll be next weekend, and then the following weekend I will be in Cleveland. So 3 weekends in a row where I'm like jam-packed full of stuff. But after that, the only other thing I have is wool gathering, which is a few weeks later. And then after that, it'll be time to start advent calendars and Halloween countdown sets. So lots of stuff. Lots of exciting things. Anyway, I'm hoping to get back on my knitting schedule. I have just yammered on. Like, I am so sorry if you do not watch this, but I've said before, I kind of like this because I like when other people do this, because it's like I'm sitting there knitting and I'm like talking to my TV like, oh yeah, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh no, that's terrible. You know, like talking about their life. Whatever. I'm ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to go. I hope you guys have a great couple of weeks. I am hoping to get back on a podcasting schedule, but with the way the next couple of weeks are, more than likely I'm going to have to podcast throughout the week, which means I probably won't be on a podcasting schedule until after summer is over, but I will try to get at least 1 or 2 more podcasts before the end of summer. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. If you need me, you can reach me on Revelry as Melissa1308. We also have the Revelry group thread, which is Honeybee Knits Podcast group. You can reach me on Etsy under the honeybeenknitsco.etsy.com, and on Instagram as honey_bee_knits. So if you need me, you can reach me there. Don't forget to comment below to enter in for the prizes, and go to Ravelry and Instagram and enter all the things everywhere so that you guys can win a prize package. Hope you guys have a wonderful few weeks, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.